Do you find yourself using the same words all the time in your writing? It's a common problem, so you're not alone, but repetitive writing can be less interesting for readers. In this video, I'm going to look at 6 common terms and phrases which are often overused in writing and explore some alternative options. I'm Jack from Proofed. Alternatives to also. Also is a helpful linking word. You can use it to add information to a statement. Edith speaks French. She's also learning German. Some alternatives to also in this situation: in addition, to, or as well. However, while also usually goes before a verb, these alternatives tend to go at the end of the sentence. So we would need to rephrase our sentence if we're going to use these alternatives. Edith speaks French, but she's learning German as well. We can also use also to link sentences. Here, using also at the start of the second sentence in the pair shows that we're building on or adding to the first sentence. But words like as well and to won't fit here. Some great alternatives to try in this case: moreover or furthermore. These words are slightly more formal, which can make them ideal for academic writing. I had a great breakfast. Furthermore, I'm looking forward to lunch. Alternatives to says. Said and says are mainly used to report words that someone else has spoken or written. In an essay, for example, when referencing information, you might say, Smith 2018 says that the methods used were unreliable. Thankfully, there are a few alternatives to this overused but necessary word: states, remarks, and notes. Smith 2018 states that the methods used were unreliable. There are also plenty more alternatives, although they are context dependent. If someone's describing how something works, we could use explains. Or if someone is claiming something is true based on evidence, argues in this case. Jones 1998 argues that new methods are required. Make sure that the word you pick as an alternative fits the context in which you're using it. Alternatives to therefore. You use therefore at or near the beginning of a sentence to show that it follows from a previous statement. But there are alternatives. As a result, thus, consequently, and accordingly. You can use any of these words as a direct replacement of therefore. It's cold today, therefore I'm wearing a hat. It's cold today. As a result, I'm wearing a hat. You can also use the conjunction so in a similar way. In this case, you would usually want to combine the two sentences using a comma before so at the beginning of the second clause. It's cold today, so I'm wearing a hat. Alternatives to including. People often use including to introduce a set of examples. We proofread many types of documents, including essays and reports. The most direct replacement for including in this case is such as. We proofread many types of documents, such as essays and reports. There are other phrases you can use to introduce a set of examples, such as for example or for instance. However, note that these terms are usually used after a colon, not a comma. We proofread many document types, for example, essays and reports. Alternatives to interesting. Interesting is a word you can use when you find something intriguing or unusual. For example, to express your love of alternative words, you could say, I find synonyms really interesting. And if, like me, you find a lot of things interesting, there are many alternatives you can use to avoid repetition in your writing. Noteworthy, remarkable, fascinating. I find synonyms really fascinating. Keep in mind though that interesting and even its alternatives are not always very descriptive. You might therefore need to explain why you find something so interesting. This is especially important in academic writing, where you will want to and likely need to demonstrate your understanding. Alternatives to there is. We have phrases like there is, there are, or it is. These are known as expletive constructions, and they're often used at the start of a sentence. There are many reasons why prices have risen. While not necessarily wrong, this type of sentence can be unnecessarily wordy, and if you find yourself using them too often, you may want to rephrase a few to help your writing flow. To do this, you can usually drop there is or there are completely, rearrange the sentence so that the main subject and the verb are at the beginning, prices have risen for many reasons. Not only is this version more concise than the original sentence, but it's also clearer because we don't have to get past "there are" before we understand what the sentence is about. That's it for now. I hope you found these alternatives to some overused words and phrases helpful. Leave us a comment if you have any questions, and check the resources linked in the description. Your writing, proof.